Remember all that Aaron Donald retirement talk right around the Super Bowl? Is it back? That's next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Travis Rogers. I host the Rams pregame and postgame show on their flagship station, ESPN LA 710, right here in LA. Thanks for making us a part of what you do, free and available on all platforms. Click that subscribe button. Make sure that you get us every single day. Check us out on YouTube as well, Locked On Rams on YouTube. And you can see all the amazing stuff that we're talking about right here on Locked On Rams. Got a good one for you. Bobby Wagner, welcome back to Los Angeles. I don't know what you thought happened while you were gone, but yes, there is still traffic. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Plus, somebody we haven't talked a lot about on the podcast since I took this over right as the playoffs were about to start. This is a name that we haven't mentioned a lot, and I think is a very, very important player for the Rams in their Super Bowl defense. That's coming up in a little bit, but let's jump right into it and talk about Aaron Donald and the fact that there are reports out there that he would still very much like to get paid, would like to get some time added to his deal, would like to get some dollars added to his deal and, get in line. Really, who would not like that? So Aaron Donald and the Rams still have not come up with a contract extension yet to this point. And Jeremy Fowler from ESPN says that is something that could still potentially land with Aaron Donald not playing football in this upcoming season. Here's what he said on ESPN. Keep in mind that the retirement buzz around Donald, first delivered by NBC's Rodney Harrison on the Super Bowl pregame podcast, was always real. And it's my understanding that Donald has a number he will play for. If it's not met, retirement can still go down. Adding years to an already existing 3-year pact takes Donald well into his mid-30s, and who knows whether he wants to play that long. But that's the best way for Los Angeles to stretch out the money for cap purposes, okay? So let's just kind of cut right to the white meat of all of this. Aaron Donald's going to play for the Rams. Aaron Donald is going to play this season for the Rams because let's just kind of take it at face value. I'm not saying that Aaron Donald doesn't want more money and more security or whatever it is specifically that he might be looking for. I get that. He's Aaron Donald. He's the most important player on the team. He's the best defensive player in the league. He's on the short list of best defensive players ever. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White. I'm sure there's, a couple other guys that I'm not mentioning, but, Aaron Donald's in that class already. So he knows that he has leverage. He's coming off of a Super Bowl championship where he not only was an important part of it, he was arguably the most important part of it. So he knows his worth, and he wants to make sure that he gets what he believes he's worth. I get that. Let me ask you a question. Have the guys that are running the Rams since they've come back to Los Angeles, Stan Kroenke, Kevin Demoff, Les Snead, Sean McVay, have any of these men demonstrated to you that they're stupid? No, right? Do you think that any of those guys have done anything? Go, what in the world are they doing? Quite the opposite, right? That they've been incredibly shrewd about how they operate in the draft, about how they operate in free agency, about going and signing players to lucrative deals, to deciding that a lucrative deal that they gave maybe isn't what they needed and moving on from that deal, right? Both of those things are equally important. They gave Todd Gurley a ton of money. And then relatively soon thereafter, they realized, you know what? Todd Gurley's not our guy anymore. Todd Gurley is not the player he was. It doesn't quite work the way it does. Well, let's move him out. You have to eat a lot of money. Fine, but move him out. And turns out that they were right. Same thing with Jared Goff. Give Jared Goff $100 million. It's his turn to get the new deal. They give it to him, play another season or so. And they're like, I don't know. This doesn't feel right. Okay, move him out. Bring in Matthew Stafford. They gave Robert Woods. They're giving everybody their money. So why in the world would you get to a point where you think that they're not going to work something out with Aaron Donald? It just doesn't make any sense. Why would Aaron Donald be the guy that you decide to draw the line in the sand with? It makes no sense to me at all. So when I hear this, it doesn't make me think that, oh my gosh, Aaron Donald. No, it makes me think, Aaron, there's a deal to be made. You know, when you hear two sides and I want A and management's offering B, and you feel like, okay, they're a million miles apart. I don't know if there's a way to find a deal here. This is not one of those things. So the management side of it, I think, is important because they've demonstrated they'll spend money when money is the answer to the problem. You need Matthew Stafford, fine, do it. Get rid of Jared Goff and bring him in. And we'll pay him. We'll give Matthew Stafford an extension. All of these things, we'll do it. They do not say, no, it's bad. It's a bad economic deal. We're not going to do it. What's a good football deal? Let's get that done. And that's what they've demonstrated. So that's the management part. I have a ton of faith in them doing the right thing. Okay, so let's go to the player side of this. And the player side of this probably is even less likely to do something crazy and stupid and it's just totally out of character. Aaron Donald is a football player, right? And you hear that the cliche, oh, he'd play for free and all this stuff. And first of all, nobody'd play NFL football for free. It's pretty violent out there, and you got to get paid to go do that. But the point is, Aaron Donald is one of those guys that when I watch him play football, it is not just something he does because I happen to be big enough, strong enough, fast enough, tough enough, right? That's kind of the minimum entry. Aaron Donald seems to love playing NFL football. He seems to thrive on getting a little bit better year after year after year. We've seen the videos of him working out. If this was just something he was doing exclusively for the money, exclusively to make sure that he could squeeze another dollar out of the next deal, I don't think you're seeing him do the things that he does. I don't think you're seeing him play the way that he does. I don't think you're seeing him commit to the team the way that he has. So you have an ownership group and a management team that is making really good decisions economically and is not whatever the opposite is stingy, right? They're incredibly generous when it comes to giving players money that they feel are worth it. Stafford, Donald previously, go right on down the line. They've paid the guys they need to pay. The money is not the problem with them. Quite the opposite, right? So that's on one side. On the other side is a player who is, I don't want to say, you know what I almost said, one of the Graham greats. No, he might be the Ram great. There's Deacon Jones, there's Eric Dickerson, there are other really good, Jackie Slater, there are other really good players that come through here. I don't know if anybody, when it's all said and done, is going to have had the impact on the LA Rams the way that Aaron Donald has, who loves being here, who loves playing for the Rams, who loves playing for that coach, who loves being on a winning team, who loves having an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl championship. He's going to walk away over some bucks from a team that gives away a lot of bucks. Not a chance. You never say never, right? That's the rule. Never say never. I'm real close to saying Aaron Donald is never going to retire in this season, right? That's just, they will find a way to get him on the field. They will pay him. Aaron Donald wants to be there. There is definitely a deal to be made. Okay, so Tyler Higbee is a name that we have not mentioned a lot on this podcast since I took it over right there in the beginning of the playoffs in January. Gets hurt in the NFC Championship game. We haven't talked much about him. He talked for the first time. We're going to talk about some of the things that he said and how important he is to the Rams defense in 2022. That's coming up next. But not before we talk about our friends at Built Bar, right? So we talked about the birthday cake puffs not that long ago. But let me ask you this question. Do you know anybody that doesn't like brownies? Do you know anybody that doesn't like brownie batter? I mean, you're making a little batch of brownies, your girlfriend, your wife, your mom, your grandma, whoever makes your brownies for you, little, swipe along the bowl. How good is that, right? Now Built has a new creation and it's better than ever. The brownie batter puff. You heard me right. This puff takes protein bars to a whole new level and they're available right now at built.com. And like all of it, it is delicious and it is good for you and it is satisfying and you're going to feel like you're getting away with something, even though you're making an unbelievable decision. They're so good, I can't even talk. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, only 7 grams of sugar. Brownie batter puffs are the perfect pick-me-up any day. Like I say every time, put them in your car, your backpack, your desk, wherever it is you go for that snack. The brownie puffs are the way to go from Built Bar. Here's how you get them. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Okay, so in order of the people that we have talked about the most on this pod, I think it's probably number one is Matthew Stafford. Number two is probably Sean McVay. Aaron Donald has to be really close to the top of the list. Cooper Kupp has gotten a ton of time. Andrew Whitworth. Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about Andrew Whitworth and Jalen Ramsey and Von Miller and all the guys that came over this season, like Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner, all these guys, tons and tons of time. And then even some of the secondary guys that we're talking about, not secondaries position wise, but like offensive linemen, whether it's Coleman Shelton or Joe Noteboom or Brian Allen. We spent a lot of time talking about those guys. One of the positions that we really have not talked much about at all since I've taken over this pod is the tight end position, and Tyler Higbee in particular. He's an important part of what they do. Now, he got hurt in the NFC Championship game, and he was not available for the Super Bowl. And he was talking about how he's kind of in a dark place going through that, knowing all the time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears that he put into getting ready to play in that game. And to get to that moment in his career, and he wasn't able to participate. Now he said, I got the ring and I feel a little bit better now. But he was talking about the rehab that he's going through. And he said, the knee's coming along well. I've been staying on top of rehab and getting after it. Started getting on the field a couple of weeks ago. They're slowly working me back in, knowing we've got some time before the season. Look, they need him. They need him for a variety of reasons. That Cooper Kupp is going to do what he does. You have a pretty good idea on what you're going to get from Van Jefferson. Allen Robinson is a bit of a question mark in the sense that he's never played in a Sean McVay offense, but you know what you're going to get there. But how many games? And look, Kupp's the guy that's the Triple Crown winner, and Allen Robinson's put up some big numbers. And Tyler Higbee is not going to be a guy that's going to get you, he's not going to put up Travis Kelce, George Kittle kind of numbers. But how often does he make a big play in a game? I mean, it seemed that, at least 4 or 5 times a season, the play that kind of gets the Rams going is Tyler Higbee getting down the field, or Tyler Higbee with a drag over the middle. And all of a sudden he catches and he runs. He's an incredibly athletic guy for a guy at his size. And while the Rams were still able to cash their ticket and ultimately win the Super Bowl, his absence was noticeable because especially once Odell Beckham Jr. went down, and now all of a sudden it was Cooper Kupp and, cross your fingers and hopes it works out, that Higbee would have been a guy that could take a lot of pressure off of Kupp in those situations. That you go back to when Sean McVay was the offensive coordinator in Washington, and he had his tight ends as arguably the center point of the offense of what they were doing. They were putting up big numbers there. That really hasn't happened here. And maybe that's because he's got better options at wide receiver like Kupp and Woods and, Robinson and Beckham and these guys that are coming in at this point, Deshaun Jackson, whoever. But the point being, this is an offense that could really feature the tight end. And I can't help but think that you would have thought it would start to happen right now. And maybe Cooper Kupp is just that good. Maybe he runs just such amazing routes that there is no way to get in his way. There is no way to cover him up completely, that even with a double or whatever, he's going to find a way to get his, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 balls a game. Maybe that could be it. But if I were a defensive coordinator getting ready to go up against the Rams this upcoming season, the red dot that they talk about, you go into that room and you're making sure that this is the guy that we need to stop. That's Cooper Kupp, right? He's the red dot guy. We need to stop him. If we get him stopped, then we can figure out everything else from there. So maybe a little bit more of that concentration starts to go towards Kupp and opens it up for some other guys. Well, one of those other guys has to be Higbee. And we'll see what the running game looks like this year, right? That the running game with Cam Akers, fingers crossed. Hopefully it looks like it looked 2 years ago before he got hurt. Hopefully he's the guy that can come in and play the way that he does. But we're talking about a guy with an injury history. We're talking about a guy with a little bit of fumbleitis along the way. So at some point, maybe that's not clicking. Darrell Henderson has been really good for the Rams in the times that he's been available. Problem is, he hasn't been available nearly enough. So what do you do when the running game's not working? What does the running game do? It sets up the passing game. Well, you can kind of substitute a little tight end passing game in exchange for that running game. Now, it's not a perfect swap, but it's better than keep trying to throw the ball down the field. That tight end opens some things up the way that a running game can open some things up. And you saw what happened. We talked about Kendall Blanton and some of these other guys that stepped up in really big moments at these points. And good for them. They did a good job. But those guys are not on Higbee's level. I'm thrilled that he's coming back. I'm thrilled that he's healthy. I hope that he looks the way that he is supposed to look. I hope that because you know what else he does too? He brings a great deal of energy to that team. That Cooper Kupp is what he is. He's an incredible player who runs amazing routes, scores a lot of touchdowns, catches a lot of balls. but he's not the most demonstrative guy in the world. He's not the guy that's the most visibly emotional guy. Matthew Stafford is a pretty cool customer, right? Matthew Stafford's a guy that's going to line it up. Let's go. We're going to throw it down here. All right, first down, move it up, line it up. Let's go. He's not a guy, and quarterbacks typically aren't the most demonstrative guys in the world. And I think he's kind of right there in where you might expect him to be traditionally. But they don't have the guy that's demonstrative, that's the first down thing and hopping up and flexing and screaming and shouting. Higbee is. Higbee's a very emotional guy that's able to kind of bring that level to his team, and I think that they need it. I'm excited that he's coming back. They're going, and if he can't do it, they're going to have to. If he's still rehabbing or whatever else, that's an area where I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Rams maybe do something along the way. Now, they got a million miles to go before they get there, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something you think about if, in fact, he's not ready to go, but it sounds like he's going to be ready to go. And that's got to be a weird thing for him, right? Like, and Robert Woods, too. Put both of these guys in the same category. Anybody that is a Rams fan knows exactly how important those two dudes were to them winning the Super Bowl last year. That they do not get to that point in that season. They do not have this run over the last 3 or 4 years without both of those guys. They're important to what they do. And you get right towards the finish line and you're not available and you're hurt. Nobody done anything wrong. Nobody got screwed in the deal. It's just one of those things that we're ready to go. We're going to play in the championship game here, and you're not there. That would weigh heavy. Even with the win, you got the ring, you got everything that comes along with it. I get it. But did you really, feel it the way that those guys felt it? Did you have the blood, the sweat, the broken knuckles, all the things that come along with it? You're a member of it. Every Rams fan knows it. Every one of your teammates, every staffer, they know that you're a part of it, but you weren't there. That's got to sit really awkwardly for those guys, and I think that's what Higbee was talking about. Glad he's feeling better. Hopefully he gets back soon, and hopefully the Rams get to use him for another Super Bowl run coming up here in just a little bit. So one of the things that we talked about is that Bobby Wagner's coming home, right? Bobby Wagner's from Southern California. Bobby Wagner's returning to Southern California. I think Bobby Wagner forgot one of the parts about Southern California. That is coming up next. But not before we talk about BetOnline, right? Our partners continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, go Warriors, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. And I'm just saying, the PGA is going on right now. Maybe you're looking a little bit at what's going on with Tiger Woods. Maybe you got a little action over there. The point is, BetOnline has you for everything you need. Your sports wagering information from live betting, playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day. My name is Travis Rogers. I am your host of Locked On Rams, as well as the pre- and post-game show host for the Rams flagship station, 710 ESPN, right here in Los Angeles. Okay, so make sure you click that subscribe button. I wanted to tell you that. Locked On Rams on YouTube as well. Do that. Just get as much Locked On Rams as you can. So the odds are that if you are listening to this podcast, you are in Southern California, live in Southern California, are from Southern California, left Southern California, the Rams are your team, that I think that's probably the lion's share of the audience of Locked On Rams are Angelinos, whether currently or expats, right? You now live in St. Louis or Chicago or Atlanta or Philadelphia, but you grew up in LA, right? Bobby Wagner would fall into that category. Bobby Wagner grew up in Ontario, went to high school in Ontario, kind of on the east side of LA County. And he spent his college days at Utah State, and then he got drafted into the NFL by the Seattle Seahawks and went up to play for the Seahawks for the last 10 years. And now he has come back to Los Angeles as a member of the Rams. And I don't know what happened in the 10 years or so that he was gone, but he had this quote the other day. The biggest thing is just getting used to the traffic again, because my commute in Seattle was 2-3 minutes tops. Out here, I'm maybe 45 minutes on a good day. I put the destination into Apple and it says 10 miles, but 2 hours. I don't get that at all. Bobby, couple of things here. Number one, 10 miles, 2 hours, you're doing it wrong. You're going the wrong way. Find a new app for your traffic, because as bad as traffic is here in LA, I've been here, I'm 50 years old. I've spent probably 43 of those years in Los Angeles. So I know of what I speak. 10 miles, 2 hours, Very rare. If that's happening on a regular basis, you need to find a new way to work. That's not the way that that's supposed to go. Number two, I've been to Seattle. Don't give me two, unless you were living in the locker room, you weren't having a 3-minute commute to work. Come on, man. Seattle's traffic is awful. It may not be Los Angeles level traffic, but it's not good. So, miss me with that, as people like to say. Secondarily, dude, what did you expect? It's LA. Look at the background I have here on my YouTube channel, right? If you are not if you're just listening to this, you're not looking at us on YouTube. I have a skyline of Los Angeles behind me. I got the Griffith Park Observatory downtown, and you can see some freeways behind me. What's on this freeway? Lots and lots and lots of cars. What is LA known for? It's car culture, freeway, traffic, smog, all of the classics, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to take you a minute. You'll be fine. You're from here. You'll figure it out. You'll realize that, 45 minutes, that's kind of just the opening bid here in LA. If you can get from A to B in less than an hour, you're doing pretty well. And if it really is something that's bothering you that much, then, get yourself a little place up by Kowloon. You can live over there during the training camp season. You can get another place down in Irvine for UCI. And then when the season starts, you can stay at a hotel by the airport. And that way it's right down the street from SoFi Stadium. You'll be good to go. Here's the deal. I think Bobby Wagner is going to be just fine with the traffic once you realize you're on a really good team. You're playing with Aaron Donald. You've got Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. You got Sean McVay. You got Raheem Morris. You're playing in SoFi. All of the things that your friends and family get to come and see you play on a regular basis. Leave early. You don't want to get stuck in traffic for that either. But you'll be all right, Bobby. It's fine. Look, there are a million good reasons to love the city that we're all from, and I love it. It's funny. I went to the Dodger game the other day, and it was pulling out, and it was just gridlocked getting out of Dodger Stadium. It was a day game. Pull back on the Freeway 5 right through the middle of downtown, and it's parking lot, and you're like, part of doing business here, right? Just got to go to a Dodger game, get to go see some Rams games. Hopefully the Lakers will play some meeting games at some point or another. Got the Hollywood. Boy, it's a great place to be, Bobby. Great place to be. You know that. You're from Pomona or Ontario. You'll be just fine. You'll get used to it. You'll find a podcast. Maybe you're listening to Locked on Rams as you're listening to this right now. You will be good to go. All right, that's going to do it for this issue of Locked on Rams. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen Locked on NFL. The schedule may be dark, but the NFL never stops, and neither does Locked on NFL. Get insights and opinions from hosts, including Ross Jackson, Chris Carter, and Tony Wiggins, plus Locked on NFL hosts repping all 32 squads. There's no offseason for real fans, so make sure you're subscribed to Locked on NFL on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked on Rams house.